Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Back to the Future, revisioning your practice to lock in profit for you and your clients as part of the Industry Insight series. Our speaker today is Christopher Anderson. Christopher T. Anderson is a proud father, husband, pilot, entrepreneur, and lawyer. He is obsessed with helping law firm owners achieve success in their law firm business on their own terms. Christopher focuses on helping lawyers understand the fundamentals of running our special kind of business with emphasis on how what we do profits our clients and the stakeholders of the law firm. This is all based on a foundation built from an uncompromising focus on meeting the law firm owner's own definitions of personal, professional, and financial success. He is the co-founder of Profit First for Lawyers and is also the host of the Unbillable Hour on the Legal Talk Network. He is a national thought leader on topics of law firm business success, practice management, marketing, sales, systems, and staffing, and has helped thousands of lawyers move toward more success for their firms, their families, and their clients. Thank you all for joining us. We'll now begin the webinar.
And thank you very much. I do appreciate the introduction, and I welcome all the viewers. I'm really excited to be with you this morning. Or this afternoon, I should say. We have quite a bit to get through, so I'm not going to delay much more. But as the show notes indicated, I just want to reiterate what we should be expecting here today. We are going to cover how we need to be re-envisioning our roles as attorneys and counselors at law. And in a sense, that is why I called it Back to the Future, because I believe that we as lawyers, we're all talking always about technology and the new thing and how we need to move forward and progress, and we do need to do all those things. We do need to utilize technology, but we need to not leave some things behind. And one of the things that I believe we've left behind is this concept of attorneys and counselors at law. We as attorneys have given up something that I'm saying in order to go to the future, we need to come back and do in order to have more successful, more profitable relationships with our clients that are also more profitable for them. So we're going to discuss how to open this entirely new practice area to serve your clients and to help them more deeply than ever before. And as a bonus, you're going to learn a little bit about how to run your business more profitably too. And as I mentioned already, it all begins with re-envisioning your practice. And this re-envisioning your practice is something that I want to talk to you about doing in two fundamental ways. Before I get to which of those two ways, I want to talk about this word revision. And you'll notice what I've done here on the slide is I've hyphenated the word, revision. And this is something that goes all the way back to freshman English course. And I won't bore you with how long ago that was. But what I will tell you about is that I took AP English in high school. Some of you have probably done the same. And I thought, because I didn't read very carefully apparently, that meant I could get out of one semester of freshman English. And so I did. I just booked one semester of it and then just went on with the rest of my college career. And in my senior year, as I was doing my exit interview before the last semester, I was advised that I was missing a semester of freshman English. And apparently that wasn't waived by the AP class. And so I looked through and I came across this class. It was called Revisioning, how to write better through revision. And I thought, well, everybody could stand to write better. I've written several thousand pages during my time here, but you know what, could always get better. And it sounded like something I could kind of ease my way through. So I signed up for it. It was taught by a professor who's now a retired professor, Catherine Gottschalk. And she taught me more about writing in that semester than I'd learned like in the 12 years of high school or elementary and high school and the 4 years of college up until then. And she taught it to me as re-seeing, as not just going through your document and cleaning it up and changing some punctuation, but when you're really going to revise a document, to really just go through and see it through fresh eyes, see it from another angle, completely rethink it from a different perspective. And that's what I'm talking about doing about your law firm. And as I said, in two fundamental ways. This is really a revisioning of the practice of law. The first is to begin to see or re-begin to see your law firm as a vehicle to provide you with the means to live your life the way that you want to live it. If you're a law firm owner, and I hope many of you are, or if you're thinking about being one, or even if you're just working in a law firm right now or just thinking about doing that, what I want to go all the way back to is, why did you decide to be a lawyer? Why did you decide to hang a shingle? And we're going to talk about that decision here in just a few minutes, but I want to be revisioning our law firm, perhaps recapturing that thought, or perhaps thinking about it for the first time about why we opened our law firm, why we decided to become a lawyer, and revision that as a vehicle to give us the life that we want. Now, I'm not going to talk to you about what life you should want or tell you what success looks like from my perspective, because my perspective doesn't matter. But your law firm should be serving your perspective and what you believe life should be. And through my study and work with thousands of lawyers across the country over the past decade and more, I can tell you, for the most part, that's not true. They're not getting the results that they want. And there's lots of reasons, also known mostly as excuses for that. And they're not necessary. And that's what we're going to be talking about. And the second way I want to revision your business and your law firm is as your role as attorney and counselor at law to your clients, and what we've lost in not being the counselor at law to our clients. Historically, you go back and I don't have stories to tell about my grandfather being a lawyer, because I don't have a grandfather that was a lawyer, but I have gone back and looked at the way businesses used to run, because there's always wisdom back there that, and some of it gets left behind. And one of the great pieces of wisdom, I think, is the way legal bills used to be written. Legal bills used to be written in value terms. Legal bills used to be written in that I worked on this project and this project to move your business or your life forward in these ways, and conducted a review or whatever I did, but very briefly, and then it'd be one paragraph or less on one page, and the bottom of it would say, for legal services rendered or for services rendered, $1,200 or $800 or $1,500, whatever the number was. But no line items, no stuff that your clients just don't care about. It just listed that way. Now, then along came the 60s and the 70s, and insurance companies and large corporations and legal bill review software and all this stuff. And they decided is that, that the best measure of law firm value was the billable hour. And we, as a profession, we kind of bought into that. And we started getting these bills that are pages and pages and pages long, telling clients that you reviewed a document, telling clients that you did legal research, telling clients that you filed a motion, and they don't care. Yeah, the bean counters care, but the clients, the owners, they don't care. What they want to know is the value you gave them. And so, and because that happened, we also started thinking transactionally. So, back in the 30s and 40s, when these bills looked like the way they did, the lawyers also had a different relationship with their business clients. All their clients, but particularly with their business clients, lawyers understood that the success and health of their business clients was the best guarantee of them remaining clients of the firm, remaining clients of you. If they fail, if their businesses don't grow, if they don't achieve success, they're not as likely to remain clients of yours. And so we approached it as a holistic perspective on how to deal with them. And, yeah, they would bring us their problems, but we'd be talking to them on a regular basis. How are things going? What's changed in your business? We'd be looking for ways to help them, either ways for us to help them or to help them to find help. And over this time with the billable hour, we became more transactional. Bring us your problems, we'll fix your problems. Bring us your problems, we'll fix your problems. And then the businesses, they did it too, right? We're going to put this out for a bid, this problem and that problem. And we lost the relationship aspect. What I'm talking about is building a new practice area in your business to regain that by going back to the future and holding ourselves out as counselors at law, getting a more holistic, deeper relationship with your clients. Are all of your clients going to want this? No. So please, in the questions, don't say, well, my client doesn't want it. I know that, but a lot of your clients do. They're begging for it. And why do I know that? Because I've launched Profit First for Lawyers, and I launched it because I was out there talking to your clients. And that's what they want. They want more value from you, and they don't know how to ask for it. So before we go much further into that, I want to, talk a little bit about this revisioning and locking in profit for you and for your clients. And I want to talk about the subtitle, particularly locking in profit for you and for your clients, because I promise you, and I know that in launching this business and in talking about Profit First for Lawyers, that little icon right there, or that logo rather, on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, there are some lawyers and some clients but particularly lawyers, and that's very interesting. A lot more blowback from lawyers than from clients about this. But there is that blowback, and so I want to deal with it up front. In fact, when I was going to talk to about profitability, I was tempted just to start, just to kind of bury this and talk about profitable clients first, because I want everybody to know, and I do want you to know, that this is about profitable clients first. But because this is an objection, and because you're going to hear this objection, I want to face this objection right now about, I've gotten comments about, oh, is this all just about money grubbing? Is this just, oh, profitable lawyers? That's just what the people think. And now you're just putting it out there, letting people know that that's what you're really all about. And I got to tell you, that's not what it's about. This is not about greed. This is not about greedy lawyers. And I really don't think, actually, and I think you'll agree with me, that most lawyers fit that category. In fact, I don't even think most people think about lawyers that way when they actually stop to think. What this is about running a business that serves your clients. That serves your clients. Profit first is about serving your clients. So let's start with, before we go anywhere else, this word. Because and I'll tell you, the negative comments are running at about 10%. So it's not like this overwhelming negative thing. And I expected it to be higher, but I want to deal with it, right? So because if you become profit first lawyers, you need to be able to deal with it, because the 90% that are positive are worth the 10% are negatives. But let's talk about what is profit. There's a huge misconception out there about what is profit. And most people that have that misconception or think that it's a bad thing, think about it as something that is one-sided. If I profit, you lose, right? It's a zero-sum game. If I make something, you lose something. And it's not sustainable. And that's certainly not what we teach, and that's not how we should be thinking of profits. I chose this picture because I tell a story when I do this talk in front of bar associations and other groups and other businesses. I do a talk where I talk about a green market and red market, but in this case we have the blue box and the pink box, and it works just as well. Let's imagine the woman on the left who lives in blue land. She likes blue boxes better, and the woman in the right who lives in pink land, she likes pink boxes better. But today in the mail, the blue lady got a pink box and the pink lady got a blue box. And so they meet here in this mythical place, and the blue woman hands the pink box to the pink woman, and the pink woman hands the blue box to the blue woman, and they both now have given up something they value less, the color box they don't want, in exchange for something they want or value more, the color box that they do like. And in that sense, and this is such a simplistic example, but it really is necessary, I think, to break it down to this simple level, they both profit. Profit, in its essence, is giving up something you value less in exchange for something you value more. And in this sense, we can start to think about how we can profit our clients. And I'll just throw as an aside, I went to a Japanese restaurant last night, and as dessert, they had red bean ice cream. Now, I hate red bean ice cream, and it doesn't matter how much or how little you charge for red bean ice cream. I don't value it at all, so I can't possibly profit by getting red bean ice cream. So if you've got something your clients don't want, you don't want to give it to them if they don't want it or they don't value it. And this is something that you want to determine before you deliver the services. But if they value your services, all you need to do is deliver your services to them for less than they value them. And then they profit. And then you got to be able to understand that you can deliver them for a cost to you, in labor and in overhead that is less than what they pay you for them. And then you both profit. And where you both profit is where you should be maintaining your client relationships. Now, the rest, I'm not going to spend this whole talk talking about what is profit, but I wanted to get that fundamental down. My favorite quote about profit comes from Bob Berg. And he says this quote is from his mentor, Harry Brown. I heard him say this, but the quote is, in a free market, profit is simply the result of pleasing another human being. And that's basically it. If you are able to deliver a solution to a problem or a seizing of an opportunity that is valuable for your client at a fee that is less than that value, you profit them. And the more people you can do that for, the more profit you deliver into the world. So now that we have an understanding of what is profit, let's talk about full disclosure and talk about this objection, because people are like, well, lawyers shouldn't be wanting to seek profit. So I say, well, this is an American Bar Association podcast, so I won't say what I usually say. According to the Professor Harry Frankfurter from Yale, who has a book on this word, BS. I can say that, I think. But I'll call it nonsense then. Given the choice, if we as lawyers fully disclosed all of our personal circumstances to our clients, which we don't, I know we don't. It's funny, as lawyers, we talk all the time about transparency and full disclosure. We must disclose conflicts of interest, right? We have to, we help people do due diligence. When we have a litigation, we do discovery to try to understand everything. And, if we see another lawyer that's disabled by alcohol or drugs, we have an obligation to help and to report that disability that affect that lawyer's performance. But what we don't do, what we don't disclose, is something that probably causes us to have a disability during much of our representations, many of us, and that is our own financial and other circumstances, right? If given full disclosure, if a client had a choice between a lawyer that was worried about, the lawyer on the left here, right, paying his bills, worried about his mortgage, worrying about putting paying the rent, worried about his kid's college fund, worried about his own retirement, versus the lawyer on the right who's got that all nailed down because she has put profit first. She has secured her profits. She is making sure her clients are profitable, and she can focus on their problems, on their opportunities, on their issues. Given that full disclosure, it's a little bit rhetorical. Every single client in the world would prefer the profitable lawyer to the unprofitable lawyer. Hands down. If you don't think that's true, the rest of this talk is going to annoy you. But I believe that clients want their lawyers to be profitable. They don't want to be taken advantage of, and that's not what I'm talking about. They want to be profitable too, but they want their lawyers to be profitable so they can focus on their problem. But we don't do that. We don't give them that full disclosure. But so let's put ourselves anyway in this category, because you know what? Being able to focus, that will make itself readily apparent. So when we talk, before we talk about your profitability, before we talk about why you went to law school, why you hung out a shingle, let's actually make sure that we're comfortable talking about that. Let's make sure that you have thought about that. And if you haven't, I'm going to give you a couple of ways to do that. I could spend hours on this topic. In fact, I do. I teach a 3-day retreat on this very topic. But for right now, just think for a moment. Why did you go to law school? I mean, I'll tell you why I went to law school. I went to law school because my parents let me read too much Bonfire of the Vanities and To Kill a Mockingbird and books like that. I watched a little bit too much LA Law. I didn't watch Ally McBeal. I'm not sure why that picture got on there, but Perry Mason, Matlock, those kinds of things. LA Law, Law and Order, and now I've really dated myself, I know, but I wanted to change the world. I really thought that lawyers were the coolest thing since sliced bread because they got a ticket to the priesthood of the law, and they could change the world in ways that other people couldn't. They could help people in ways that other people couldn't. And so I went to law school, and then I entered a law school, and my class was probably a lot like your class. There was a small number of people, let's call it 15 to 20%, who were there to make money. And for the most part, they did. These are the ones who got into and went to the big law firms. And that may be some of you. Then about another 20% were there because they heard you could do anything with a law degree, and usually someone else was willing to pay for it. So they did, and you know what? They went and did anything with a law degree, and I've kept in touch with a lot of them, and they're doing all right. But then there was the rest of us. And the rest of us believe 4 things. We believe that a law degree, like I said, was a ticket to the priesthood of law. We would be empowered to help people in a way that nobody else does. We believed that if we were diligent and worked hard, number 2, we had a good chance to change the world, however we defined that change. 3, if we were diligent and worked hard and changed the world and helped our clients, we were more or less guaranteed a decent standard of living. And 4, if we were diligent and worked hard and changed the world and helped our clients, we were more or less guaranteed a reasonable quality of life. That's what we believed. But this, folks, is the truth. I think this last study was 2006. I think it's all been a while. 49,130. $49,130. $49,130 is the median income for single shareholder lawyers. Lawyers who own their own law firm and are the only owner of their law firm take home $49,130. That's the median. That means half make or bring home less. Now, it's not the mean. The mean's actually up in the high 70s, low 80s. So the average is higher, and that's because some lawyers are doing quite well, and that brings the average way up. But listen, half. So I'm out there. I mean, I'm at speaking at bars. I keep in touch with my classmates. I'm talking to thousands of lawyers every year. And of those who, like me, believed in their ability to change the world, I'm finding a few alarming trends. They're making less money than they thought they would. They're working harder, right? They don't have the quality of life that they thought they bargained for. But worst of all, although they have the tools to help people in a way most people can't, they find themselves skimming the surface, doing the least amount necessary to move a client through because they're working too hard to make too little. They're just turning the wrenches, and they're not changing the world. And they're frustrated. Meanwhile, while this is going on, there's the clients out there. By overwhelming numbers, there are clients out there who are not hiring lawyers because they're not. This is from the Clio, I'm blanking on the Clio Legal Trends Report 2018. The benefits are not worth the money. Although the benefits may justify the cost, it's too much money, and the overall cost isn't clear. This is us, lawyers, not thinking about profit first for our clients, not doing a good job of defining the value of what we do for our clients. The attorneys are out there struggling to realize the dream of having meaningful work, changing the world, earning a decent living. Meanwhile, client prospects are being left by the way because they don't see the value. And if they do, they think it's too expensive, which means they don't see the value, right? They're speaking with us. The Clio Legal Trends Report shows they are calling us. They're reaching out, but they're not seeing the value. And we're leaving a lot of people unserved. So helping them to see a profit, helping them to make a profit is part of Profit First. Will bring us back to the focused lawyer. This is all about then becoming or being or enhancing your ability to be the lawyer that you want. I'm sorry, the lawyer that your client wants to have representing them. This is about the whole thing. These two revisionings of your businesses are about becoming the lawyer that your client wants to have representing them. In order to do that, and I'm going to spend just a little bit of time, I want you to think now. If you didn't think about it when you hung your shingle, if you didn't think about it when you went to law school, or even if you did, I want to give you a small tool to think now about how you want to live your life. How do you want to live your life? How many of you have given that real detailed thought in the past 2 years? If not you, that's okay. 80% or more of the lawyers that I meet out on the road when I'm giving talks about running your law firm business haven't thought about this at all in the past at least 2 years. And as I said, I teach a 3-day seminar to help people do, or a retreat really, to help people do this. I'm going to teach it to you in 5 minutes. Obviously, it's not thorough, but I want you to at least think through this process. Why am I doing this here? You know, this talk was about revisioning your business. Why am I spending time on talking about how you want to live your life? Well, because quite honestly, this is going to be part of how you talk to your clients, right? What I'm teaching here, please take note, because I want you to have the same exact conversation with your clients when you're implementing Profit First for them, right? And this is all about just sitting back and thinking about, in 5 years, who do I want to be? For me, a good husband, a good father. I want to be capable of running 6 to 10 miles at any moment. I want to be a certified pilot. There's a lot of things I want to be. What do you want to do, have done, or be doing in 5 years? I want to have run 2 more marathons in 5 years. I want to be owning a business that has a certain amount of revenues. I want to be flying my small airplane at least 100 hours a year. I want to be skiing at least 28 days a year. These are things I want to be doing or have done. And then what do I want to have? Well, in 5 years, for me, I want to have my kids' college funds fully funded. I want to have 40% of the down deposit on this house, not this house, but a house just like this in Colorado for our empty nest years. I want to have, there's a list of things that I want to have. And then you do an exercise where you bring that to, okay, in order for that to be true 5 years from now, what do you need to be, do, or have 2 years from now? And then finally 1 year from now, which allows you to start to think about how much money your law firm business should be providing for you in order to achieve the life you want to have, how much time you agree to work in your law firm so that you have time to do the other things in your life that are valuable to you, and also what professional success your law firm is going to deliver to you. The be, do, and have to work on all of those things. And you should do this with your significant other, with a stakeholder in your business. This is me doing it, so you get to see me, hi me, on a retreat here with my wife, where we do that. And we do this every 6 months. And we figure out what we want to be, do, and have, because this instructs what we want to do with our business. Because the only limitation to what we can achieve with our business is the only limitation that limits what you can do with your business is what you want it to do for you. But unless you define that clearly, I can't help you reach those goals. Just like in Profit First for your clients, if you don't get this defined clearly with them, you can't help them reach their goals. So again, 5 minutes on an exercise that should take 3 days. If you want to know more, I'm going to give you contact information from me later that I can help you with this, give you a longer video and really help you with that process. But I wanted to just talk about, because this is about really learning how to, like I said, get a better 360 view of your clients. It's really hard to help a business succeed if you don't know what success is to that owner. Right? It's hard to have that 360 view and be that trusted advisor, be a counselor at law if you don't know what the business is trying to achieve. So once you know what it really takes to live life the way that you want, then we have to understand that the only way to have those financial means are from three things, right? The only way that your clients can get this out of their business, the only way that you can get this out of your business. There's only 3 ways you get to live life the way you want to live it. One is through the fair market value your firm pays to you, and the business owner's business pay to them. For the work that you actually do in your business, what should the firm be paying you? That's the one way. Then there's the perks. Owning a business is kind of cool. Under our current tax code, the business can pay for certain things in your life that if you had a regular old job, you'd have to pay for out of pocket. Those are called perks, at least in my definition for now. And if, the fair market value, and then the perks that you receive from the business, and then the profit that you take from the business. Those 3 things, your salary, the perks, and the profit, are what provide you life, your lifestyle, if you will. And this is what provides your business owners, clients, their lifestyles. So you have to get really clear on what you want so that you can then design a business that gives you those results. And if those are not the results that we're getting now, then it's time to put into place a plan to get there. Once you have that plan, and a way to be held accountable to it, you'll become far more able to be this lawyer, right? To be the lawyer that is focused on your clients while your firm is getting the results that your firm should be providing to you. And this, again, is exactly how you'll help your clients with their businesses too. And by the way, it's not just business clients. Like, in other words, if you're a business lawyer, this isn't just for you. We have worked with lawyers that are estate planning lawyers. We've worked with lawyers that are family lawyers. And it's for their businesses, because a lot of estate planning lawyers, a lot of family lawyers, a lot of lawyers in other practice areas represent people who own businesses. They just don't represent them in the ownership of that business, but you can certainly bring the profit first thinking to them. So that's re-visioning your life. That's re-visioning what your business is supposed to do for you. That's the first re-visioning that I asked you to do. The second re-visioning that we're going to be talking about is revisioning your business. And remember, I said we're going to revision in 2 fundamental ways, and the second one was revisioning your business. And in particular, I'm going to just talk about a particular part of your business. There are 7 parts to your business, and I could, again, spend, I have many seminars that I do that are multiple days that we can talk about all 7 parts. We're going to talk about a very narrow part of your business today, because this is called Profit First, and because I told you we were going to give you a new paradigm to secure profits and be a more secure lawyer. We're going to talk about revisioning the financial aspects of your business. So let's go, first of all, to the way you know. This is the normal, quote unquote, normal way of thinking, right? The normal way of thinking, quite honestly, makes you the last dog at the bowl, right? Most lawyers, I mean, I remember when I joined the first private law firm after being a prosecutor for quite a long time. When I first joined my law firm, I saw how the owners were working. And they were doing fine. They're great, by the way. They're great lawyers, and I have a world of respect for them. And I wouldn't want any of these comments to suggest otherwise. But what they were doing was having all the revenue come into the business, making payroll, paying the overhead, paying all the other expenses, and then looking at the ledger book and understanding what bills were coming due next week, and whatever wasn't necessary for those, they'd take a distribution. They'd pay themselves. They came last, right? So that's the way a lot of people do it, right? You pay the things you must pay to run the office. You pay the rent, you pay the utilities, you pay the costs, you pay payroll, you pay for your marketing. And then the things that you really should be paying to make the office run well. You pay for your equipment, you pay for training, you pay for software, you pay for janitor, you pay for everything. And then whatever drops out the bottom is the profit. You take what the business reluctantly relinquishes to you. And this sets up a paradigm of thinking that really ends up with you being employed by your own business. A lot of lawyers, most lawyers, the vast majority of lawyers who have started their own law firm, who hang out a shingle, really what they end up creating for themselves is a job, right? And then we call it a practice. But for the most part, what we've got is a job. If we stop showing up, the money stops coming in, and it's a job because we're getting what's left over. We're not acting as business owners in our own businesses. So what and I want to be clear. This is the right way of doing things, right? Everybody's seen. And I don't, I'm not wanting this to be an accounting class. I'm not here to talk about the relative merit of generally accepted accounting principles in business. I've done enough of that. What I'm talking about is the way that vast majority of lawyers, of law firm owners, really of all small business owners, have misapplied a tool in management of their law firm if they've even used it at all. What do I mean? They've used, most of you are probably familiar with a profit and loss statement or an income statement. Or P&L, right? And the accountants created this, and it's part of generally accepted accounting principles, and it's a good tool. It shows us what happened. It was designed and meant to be used as something that describes what happened in the past. You had this much revenues come in. You had, we'll go back to, this slide here, right? You had this much revenues come in. You had these expenses, these costs and these expenses. And revenue minus expenses equals your profit. That's what P&L does, and that's a great way to look at the past. And then we went and abused this tool and said, we'll use it as a planning tool. So our budgets look exactly the same, right? We basically keep the same order of things. Oh, our budget says we'll get these revenues, and we'll have these expenses, and this is the profit that we'll get in the end. And that sets up a really bad way of thinking. It puts you last. And it puts you in an insecure place because you become a victim of yourself, right? Because the revenues come in and you have these budgeted expenses, but then this opportunity comes along and there's a pile of money in the revenues and we can spend it, right? We have abilities to do things and to ignore profitability, to ignore the profits until we look at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, the end of the year, and we realize we weren't nearly as profitable as we wanted to be. So what I'm here to talk to you about and what I want to teach you to help your clients with is to think about the future differently than the past. So we start from the same place, right? Revenues come in, right? That's what we all want. And I could teach you a marketing course, we could teach you how to get, but let's just say the revenues are coming in a relatively predictable way. Now, in the future, we can increase the revenues, we can let them decrease, but let's say they're coming in a relatively predictable way. If they're not, feel free to contact me and I can help you with that too. But we're talking right now about how to think about your business. So the revenues are coming in. And now what we're going to do is we're going to think first about profit. Now, what do I mean by that? So let's say last year, let's just say for the last 12 months ending in April 30th of 2019. We'll look at those last 12 months. And in those last 12 months, we had revenues and we had expenses, et cetera, like I was just describing. And the profits ended up being 10%. So let's say you had $500,000 of revenues in your law firm business. I'll just pick a number. You had $500,000 of law firm of profits and of revenues in your law firm business. And after you paid all the expenses and you paid your salary, there were $50,000 left over. Well, you had a 10% profit, okay? Maybe there were $5,000 left over. You had a 5%, sorry. That would be a 1% profit, right? Maybe there was nothing and you had a 0% profit. Maybe it was negative. We'll talk about that. But let's say whatever they were, we'll stick with 50,000. There was 10% back last year. So what we're saying is going forward, instead of waiting for that 50,000 to drop out the bottom, the next $1,000 that comes in, we're just taking that same 10% off the top and setting it to the side. We're not putting it in our pocket. Just set it to the side in a separate bank account as profits, right? Since we were able to run the business with those 10% profits coming out before, we should be able to run the business with the 10% profits coming out now. But let's go farther with this. What did you pay yourself on your $500,000 firm? Let's say you paid yourself $100,000. Well, $100,000 is 20%. So we'll also set aside 20% going forward. Right after we set aside the profits, we'll set aside 20% to pay you. And let's say because you paid yourself 100 and you had 150, you had 50,000 in profit. That's $150,000 total. So let's say you paid $45,000 of taxes on that. You probably paid less. We'll say 45,000. Well, 45,000 on 500,000 is 9%. You paid 9% of your revenues in taxes all in. So we're going to set that aside too. So we set 9%, 20%, and 10%. We're setting 39% aside, right? We're setting 39% aside. You can also set aside an amount for marketing. We'll ignore that for now. We're setting 39% aside, which means we have 61% left to run the business. So when last year, all these numbers were true, right? In this hypothetical law firm, all these numbers were true. We had 10% profits, we had 20% we paid ourselves, we paid 9% out in taxes, we paid those 39% out or had it as profit, and we ran the business on 61%. So if the revenues stay the same, we should be able to run the business on 61% right now. So why do this? If we're not changing anything, why do this? Well, we do this because it instills discipline. When you take all that money off the top with every dollar, every $100, every $1,000, every dollar that comes in, it instills discipline, the same discipline that your grandmother had, my grandmother had. I'll talk about my grandmother instead of your grandmother. When money was tight and when money came in, she put some money in grocery envelope and some money in kids' braces envelope and some money in whatever. And when the grocery envelope was empty, it was empty and pickings were slim. And that was it, but we never crossed the envelopes. Well, that's what we're talking about doing. We actually set up separate bank accounts. But the discipline it serves is like, okay, we've always run the business on 61%, so why can't we run the business on 61% now? Right? What happened? And when you want to do something that exceeds that 61%, you have to take a look at everything else. Well, I want to buy this new copier. Well, I want to hire this new person. Well, I want to do some extra marketing. Well, that's fine. Where's their waste? What waste can we cut? Or better, that's fine. Let's increase the revenues. Let's sell something. Let's figure out, let's bill a couple extra hours. Let's look at that IOLTA account and see what we can actually, stay a little bit later and get billed. But let's either bring in some more revenues one way or another, and I can teach you lots of strategies to do that, or cut some other expenses. I prefer the growing the revenue part so that we'll have the money. But we basically are forcing ourselves through this to make grown-up decisions about running our business within the means that we've set. And then, you can change those means. You can certainly alter those means. But what I would want to specify that we do is that, because you're making these mature, grown-up decisions, your profit account is untouched, and you still get to keep the profit that you want. Your income owner's comp account is untouched. Your tax reserves are untouched, and you start to have a lot more peace of mind and a lot more focus when those accounts remain what they are supposed to be. And if you're running at a loss and you need some more money to operate the business, well, then you have to, like I said, make some grown-up decisions. Where's that money going to come from? It's not going to come from those accounts. There are lots of other sources of resources, and if you have questions about that, I'll be glad to answer them. But it just installs this discipline. And imagine doing this for your business clients. Like, this would install a discipline and instill a discipline in them that would be super powerful and enable them to run their business better. But this is the beginning, not the end. What I wanted to, once we understand this and we document exactly where we are, so that we document this is what would be your current allocation percentages. In other words, we figure out exactly what our profit has been, right? What is our profit today by looking at the last 3 months or the last 6 months or the last 12 months? What is our profit? What is our owner's comp? What is our tax? What have we been putting aside for marketing? Or what have we been spending on marketing? And then what are the expenses that we've been running on? And now that we just start immediately just taking that money off the top, now we are put in a much better position to plan and believe in our plan. Because once we start this discipline and we get this discipline going, now we have a little bit more believability in our capability to plan. And we can make our plan about how we're going to change these percentages over time. I said before, maybe your business isn't profitable at all. Maybe you're 0% profit. Maybe you're at negative profit. Or maybe you're at 10% profit, but you want it to be 20, whatever. This is your plan to change. Once we have the discipline of putting aside the money, now we make a plan to change. And the rule of thumb, and by the way, this is all inspired by a book by Mike Michalowicz called Profit First. Mike Michalowicz and Ron Saharian run Profit First Professionals, and we are partners with them. We've licensed this for lawyers, and we're changing, the things that need to be changed so that it's more applicable to lawyers. But this all comes from him. And one of the things that they recommend is that you make a plan to change, but don't change any one category by more than 1, occasionally 2% per quarter. Now there are exceptions, and there are lots of nuances that I could go into, but for most parts, you change it by 1 or 2% per quarter. So if you are at 10% profit, you want to be at 20%. Well, maybe you can change it 2% per quarter and go 10, 12, 14, 10 now, 12 at the end of the first quarter, 14 at the end of the second quarter, 16 at the end of the third quarter, 18 at the end of the fourth quarter. Well, we're going to need to go more than 4 quarters to get to 20, and that's fine. Owner's comp, you can change and increment it by the same amounts. Taxes change based on the profit and the owner's comp. And you just talk to your accountant about it. They'll move much more slowly, but they will have to move as well. Marketing, you just determine that by what you want to do in marketing. And of course, now you would say, well, wait. We only have 100% of revenues. If I increase profit by 1% and I increase, or 2%, I increase owner's comp by 1% and I increase taxes by 1%, that'd be 2, 3, 4%. And let's say the lead market. Well, that 61% that I had for operating expenses before has now become 57%. Holy moly. Can I run the business at 57%? Well, I don't know. But now that's a real good question. So now you take that 57%, you look at your operating expenses and you say, can I? And you go through the budget and see what waste there is and whether or not you can run it at 57%. Or you say, you know what, I sure can run it at 57%. All I have to do, if I increase my revenues by 10%, that 57% of 110% is right about where we were. And so, yeah, I could run my business on that, right? You may have a plan. A lot of my clients have a plan actually that reduces owner's comp, because I've helped businesses grow by 40, 60, even 100% in 1 year. Well, just imagine if you grow 100% in 1 year and your owner's comp was 20% and you just get paid the same salary, then your salary would go from 20% to 10% over that year. And so the operating expenses, even though profit goes up, operating expenses could stay relatively the same. as a percentage, which means they'll actually go up as your business grows. There's lots of ways to skin this, but this is a way to plan. And then you ask yourself the very important question, the grown-up question, the entrepreneurially mature question of, can I run the business on that? And then you go to your budget and you go through it, and hopefully, you know, with your bookkeeper or with a financial professional, and you go through it. And when you're teaching this to your business clients, you help them by putting them together with a bookkeeper, putting them together with a good accountant that will help them to answer that question in a way they really haven't looked at their business before. This is so powerful. But like I was saying, it's really important to not go it alone. Don't let your clients go it alone. Part of working with your clients as a Profit First certified lawyer, I'll talk to you about that in a minute, is to help them assemble a team. Listen, your business clients should already have a bookkeeper. Your business clients should already have an accountant. So you're not adding any costs to them, but you're making sure that their bookkeeper and their accountant are on board with Profit First principles. And if they're not, you replace them or help them to be replaced or help them to get the training. But you make sure that your clients, and you also make sure that you, and I'll make sure that you don't go this alone, because the first downturn, the first time revenues don't come in the way you expected, the temptation is there to reach into that profit account and take that money back. And we've got ways to avoid doing that, and then lots of strategies to, you know, not damage the business, but also avoid going into those accounts, and also just the discipline and the accountability of seeing these things coming before they're right on top of your doorstep, so that you can make plans and make exigencies. It's important to have accountability, to have someone who can help you steer through the challenges that you will face putting this into place, but also teaching you how to keep your profits and your comp and your client's profits and your client comp safe, and your tax reserves safe, so that you don't end up where lots and lots of business owners end up, which is, you know, I've made ends meet by not paying myself, or I made ends meet by not paying my taxes, and I owe 3, 4, 5 years of taxes, and that becomes a problem. It helps you to do your planning, and having that Profit First team around you helps to make sure that you can do that. What's your role? Oh, sorry, before I get to your role. So this is, you know, the revisioning, and this enables you to, again, revision your business as your role with your client's businesses as counselor at law. This photo is of the alpha class of Profit First lawyers. This Profit First for Lawyers only launched 3 months ago, and this is the alpha class. We've actually now had a beta class, and we're putting together the beta 2 class right now. But you'll just notice that, you know, what we're talking about is profitable clients, right? The whole practice, this whole practice is about profitable clients and putting your clients' profits first and becoming a counselor at law. Now, I won't read out loud the entirety of the Model Rules of Professional Conduct 2.1, but it's about, you know, even in our model rules, we talk about referring not only to the law, but to other considerations, right? To looking at the client's business and the client as a holistic person. So we were talking about the Profit First team. What's your role? Your role in the team is to help clients reach their full potential. That's your role. They should have a bookkeeper. They should have an accountant. You don't do the financials. You just set up a system that makes sure that they are monitored and that these people report to you, so that you, as the captain of the team, can make sure that your client is reaching their full potential. You start this by having a vision meeting with your client, where you go through what I just did in 5 minutes, but which I can teach you to do in more detail, about where they want the business to go. What is the business? What is their business? What is your client's business supposed to be doing for them? Right? You'll guide them through a vision meeting. This is like a 2 or 3 hour meeting where and I've got a list of questions that you go through with them to help them be clear with you about what they're trying to accomplish with their business. And it includes, of course, their financials, so you can set up their and understand where they are now as far as what their profit has been, what their owner's comp has been, what their taxes have been, so you can give them a good starting point. Once you've done that, you then assemble that team that I was talking about, including, at a minimum, an accountant and a bookkeeper and a banker that's willing to open these Profit First accounts, right? Those envelopes each represent a separate bank account, a income account, where the money comes in, a profit account, a separate bank account where the profits get stored, a separate bank account for the owner's comp, a separate bank account for the tax reserves, and then the business operating account. And so the banker helps with that. And you assemble this team and you all stack hands and you go over with the team what the client wants to accomplish with their business. And then you all get together and have a meeting where you stack hands and say, okay, from this day forward, here's the plan. And then the bookkeeper reports to you every month about what's going on. And so this can be something that your admin, or you can outsource this to an admin that we can provide to you. Reviews the monthly reports from the bookkeeper, make sure that the client's on track. If they're on track, the client just gets an email saying, hey, you're on track. We'll talk to you at the end of the first quarter. And at the end of every quarter, you'll have a quarterly review meeting where you'll meet with the client, give them an update on where they are and where, if they've achieved their goals, or where, if they've slipped on their goals, where they've slipped in their profit first. And then, and this is I buried the lead, I know I have, but this is the power of it. And then you ask your client, what else is going on in your business? And whatever revenues you get from being a Profit First certified lawyer, from the Profit First, implementing Profit First for your clients, will be dwarfed by the answers to that question. Because this is really a chance quarterly to understand what's going in your client's business, and a chance to offer them solutions, whether they're from you or not. A lot of them won't be. A lot of them will be things that you refer to them, but that will help build your referral network. And some of them will be things that you could help them. I call it a gas meeting, because again, this is an ABA, but it's not give a hoot meeting, and you can fill in the rest. But this is a meeting where you ask sincerely about what's going on in their business, and you give them great advice. And this is part of the program. This quarterly meeting, 2 hours long, is part of the fee that they'll pay you for the program. But a lot of work will actually come out of that meeting. And then, of course, after 3 quarters, the 4th quarterly meeting is is the annual revision, where you just say, okay, this is where we were, this is where we got to, where do we want to go over the next 12 months? And you get a renewal with them. And this is how you bring Profit First into their businesses. This is a lot to cram in 1 hour, but I hope that I've done it justice. But the whole point is that this is to put your clients and to put you as the first dog at the bowl. And the reason I did this picture is not only to be the first dog at the bowl, but also to make the point that, like, to be successful at putting this into your clients' businesses, you have to eat your own dog food. And being, implementing Profit First in your business is really, really important to being successful at helping your clients implement it into theirs. And so part of being a Profit First certified lawyer is actually also putting this in your own business as well. I told the facilitators that I'd leave a little bit of time for Q&A, and I have done that. So I'll make one last point here. If you want to know more, there's 2 ways to know more. I ask that you do both. One is you can go to profitfirstlawyers.com/revision, or you can pick up your phone right now and take a picture of that QR code that's on the screen. But profitfirstlawyers.com/revision. And there you'll get an opportunity to contact me for more information, and also to pre-order the book Profit First for Lawyers. This book will be out in a couple of months.
All right, and looks like that's all the time that we have for today. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Profit First for Lawyers, and all of you for attending our webinar today as part of the Industry Insight series. And I'd also like to thank Christopher for presenting today.
It's absolutely my pleasure. I enjoyed it, and I hope everybody got some value from it.
And with that, we will now conclude the webinar.
Thank you.